So I realised I left everybody hanging with the Vivid Air. It was just a first look, basically. The first ride I did on it. Spent a bit of time back and forth, a little bit of back and forth on the two different shocks, and came to the conclusion that it was a little over damped and whatnot and had some issues. Now, since then, I've found that the lock switch, so when I first clicked that lock switch over to climb, which I hadn't done at all up until after that test, after that video, flicking it to climb, I couldn't get it up. It was like it was jammed or stuck from open. Eventually it clicked, it crunch, clicked. I was like, oh, that was weird. And I clicked it back. This was after I changed the tokens, I believe. Not actually 100% sure exactly when it was. But when I clicked it back, put it back on the bike, it was much more free. So it was like there was something going on with the, when it was put together at the factory, maybe something wasn't aligned properly, or something was, not meshing properly. Maybe it was over damped. But I put it back on. I think it felt free, and that might have just been in my head. But I've ended up running a little bit lighter on the spring as well. So I think I was in the 170s in that video. I'm at about 162 with a token, and it's killer. It's really, really, really good. It's soft. The only thing I don't like about an air shock is the same as I always talk about. It's always the same thing. I hate the variance in air pressure. I just cannot stand it. You go out for a fun ride and whatever, and I know maybe I'm making too much of it because everyone runs an air shock and no one else has any issues. Well, everybody deals with it, but you get to the tracks at 9 in the morning or whatever, or 9:30, and it's nice cloudy cover from the morning. Pump up your gear to your pressure. If you're kind of aware and you're not, you know what's going to happen, you'll set your pressure a little soft, knowing that the sun's going to come out. It's going to be a little warmer on the trails, so it's going to jack up your back end a little bit more. So you run it a little soft, hoping that you can find that sweet spot, like, I'm going to run it 4 psi lower because I know it's going to be 6 degrees higher or 8 degrees warmer once I'm on the trail with the sun on it and whatever, and it should boost up to my pressures. I don't like that. And then if you're going out in the Arvo, after work, boom, you grab your bike, don't touch it, because yesterday it was running killer. On Sunday all day you rode wicked, and then finish work, it's 5 o'clock, daylight savings time, you get out 5:30 on the trails, then 6:30, your last run's at 7, and the sun's starting to go down, it's starting to get cool, and all of a sudden your bike's soft. Your bike's feeling like ugh, and you're bottoming, or you're clapping pedals somewhere where you shouldn't. I don't like that. I don't like any of that. That is solely the reason I stick to the coil. So I've got the coil back on the rein. I've been back and forth with springs on that. So the 350 was really good, but it was too stiff off the top. Slow the rebound down, makes it work, and it's really, really good, but it's just too stiff off the top. On slower, more technical trails, it's not that much fun to deal with. 325 is killer. I got the Nuke Proof 325, but here I've been experimenting with the 300 progressive. So I've got 2 3/4 turns on the 300 progressive on that shock, and it's the same as the 325 more or less for bottom out, but it's softer off the top. It's heaps more. Just feels like you're riding through a layer of powder, versus just kind of a little bit more choppy on everything. 2 of 4 clicks of compression. When it was colder, when I first got this shock, it was a little colder, and I was running 1 click and no high speed. Now I'm running 2 clicks, and depending on the track, I've been going to 3 clicks. So that's from full open, so not from the middle position. So the middle position is 2 clicks. Then you got minus and then plus. So their recommended is the middle. They're 0 point. And the high speed compression I have now at 1 click in from full open, so -1 from their recommendation. And it's really, really good. The damping on these shocks, back to the Vivid Air, which it's translatable. The damping on both of these shocks is excellent. The ability to just change a tune with your fingers. You do have an Allen key here. You've got a 3mm Allen key, which the Vivid, if you can get to it easily, so a lot of shocks you can't really get to the rebound dial that easily, so you won't be able to pull it off and on at your leisure. But this is a 3mm Allen key. So, stick it in, do your bottom out resistance. It's killer. I absolutely love these 2 shocks. They're the best shock to me, in my opinion, so far of what I've ridden. These two shocks are the best shocks on the market. A lot of people will say, oh, but what about EXT, or what about this, or what about that? I've ridden an EXT. I don't like the top out. I don't like the noise, and the rebound range isn't great. I don't think the rebound range isn't great, and it has a top out. I don't want a shock with a top out. I've already had shocks. The Olin's had a top out. The Cane Creek had a top out. I don't want shocks with a top out. I want shocks that feel like they're finished. They're done, ready to go to the masses. So, and that's not a hit against those guys. They're just, their design doesn't suit my pickiness, I guess. A lot of people love those shocks. Cane Creek, wicked, just same story with the dials, the finger dials. So good. That Kitsuma shock is so good for dialing things in. I'm not a big fan of the top out. Great performance, great performer, but just get out of my life with the top out. I don't want it. So, damping. Cold days, like I was talking about before. When it's cold, you can open this up enough that it's killer. I don't know what it's like in really cold conditions, freezing conditions. I've never really been one to ride when it's that cold. But in our winter, the end of our winter when I got this, it was kind of just after winter, but it was still cold days. Running it full open was open enough on the damping for me to feel like, yeah, I'm happy with that. And then once the warm days started coming, that was way too open, way too light, way too like, it's just like, you're just getting slapped everywhere. And then you start to add a little bit of damping, and that slapping starts to turn into, oh yeah, now we're floating across the trails, a little bit like it was before. So perfect range. Rebound has got so much range on both of these shocks. I'm fairly close to the middle at really fast. And as the heat has built up, having to close it down a little bit, I'm still not, I'm going to run out of rebound or anything like that. I think they got a great range on both of these shocks. The bottom out support is everything that they advertise. It works exactly how they say it. At the moment, I've got the Air Shock in 2 clicks of bottom out support because I was running no token. So now with the 1 token, the last time I rode it, it felt like maybe I can button off. Like I'm not getting to that bottom. I can button off that bottom out support now and rely on the spring's shape to do most of that deceleration of my force. So that's cool. That's at 2. I'll put it back to 1. No high-speed compression on this. This maybe comes on a little bit sharper, or maybe it's because of the tune in the. It's because of the way I've got the air spring tune that it comes on a little bit sharper. More time with that. Don't take this as gospel yet because I'm definitely going to spend a lot more time. I'm going to get some footage on this so you can see basically what it looks like for me to ride this when it's set up well versus riding that when it's set up well. That coil, 1 click of bottom out resistance. Oh no, I'm on 2 on that as well. So with the 300 spring, I'm at 2 clicks because it's a lighter spring and it just feels like it needs a little bit more. At the right amount of turns of preload, it's fine. But I'm still between 1 and 2 clicks of bottom out. So if with the 350 spring, no bottom out. No clicks of bottom out support. 325, 1 click. 300 progressive, 1 or 2 clicks. So it depends. And I guess it's kind of trail specific as well. If I was going to, try and hunt some times and go real fast or big hucks on a, say like a Wollonga, I'd want more bottom out support because there's a couple of big hucks there. Well, it depends on the track you ride, the track you race. Fox Creek, a few big hits. You probably want a little bit more bottom out support. It just depends where you're riding. So, but what I'm getting at is the range, the adjustability is there, and it's the right adjustability. It's everything you need, nothing you don't. There's no weird, oh yeah, that's cool, but it doesn't really affect the shock. Like everything works. It's kind of heavy, but it's not that heavy. I think it's 670 something grams. So not too bad. Same as the X2. Reliability, so far so good, but I really haven't put many hours on it. So coil, reliability, I put a lot more hours on that coil than I have on this. Even though I love this feeling, this performer, the performance of this, like raw performance, regardless of if you eliminate the variance in temperatures and whatever, when it's right, it's killer. It's just a little bit more sprightly, I think. a little bit more sprightly than I've got the coil set up. But the coil is the same every time I get on it. So my back end, my hips relative to my hands are in the same position every time I ride it. There's no, and my feet relative to the axle, I guess, is more important than my feet to my hands. My feet to the axles never, ever, ever changes. When when this thing heats up a little bit, your feet are a little higher, so it feels a little stink buggy. So you're coming in and you can't really into the corners. You're more into the corners. You're more on the brakes, more setting up for things. Whereas when you got it down low, not down low, but lower where it should be, in the sag where it should be, that low point where it should be, not too low, because when it's too low, you can't push into it, you can't pedal over certain things because you're going to slap a pedal and OTB style. So I just love the consistency of a piece of metal that never ever changes. So you've still got your slight variances in damping with the hot and the cold, but spring-wise, coil all day for me. Coil. This bike's better with an air shock. This bike will be better with an air shock. Most bikes that are being designed at the moment and the last few years have been better with air shocks because they don't really have a lot of progression. Companies are moving towards more progression. My Slash, in hindsight, that thing was perfect for a coil. That thing was so good. My Slash was so just a hitter. Such a good performer. I've got this sucker still. This is a 343. Now this is butter on this bike. So I've gone light compression, light rebound. So the rebound's faster as well because all these new Mazokis are coming with a real garbage slow rebound and a heavy compression tune. So I always get the compression tune lightened. I always have on these shocks. But the last couple of years, the rebound has needed to be addressed as well. So this has got light rebound, light compression, and it is butter. It's fast, it's smooth, it pedals efficiently, it's good commuting, it's wicked, but it's just a little higher in the back than I'd like. I can make it work on Maury. It's a better spring than the lighter spring at Fox, but when I ride waterfalls and horsies, I can get away with it here for sure on this spring. But yeah, waterfalls where I'm tipping in a little steeper, a little slower, I want that little bit lower back end, just so I'm not stink bugging when I'm going down the hills. So yeah, that's the update on the Vivid Air. Sorry to leave you hanging for so long. This shock is gangster. Price is reasonable. Reliability should be killer. I've got friends that are on them that have given them an absolute hiding and they're still running like they're new. So longer service intervals they recommend on this as well, which is kind of cool. So you can go a little longer than the usual 50-hour, like, your air spring's going to be clapped after 50 hours. I've done a video on how to change the tokens. So good shock, killer shock, good investment for sure. But if you like a coil, that's the shock. That is the best coil on the market, in my opinion. Do what you will. It's your money.